With me now, the criminal defense attorney, Brian Claypool. Brian, hello. Nice to talk to you. Thanks for being with us tonight. We focus on the bail hearing this afternoon, right? But the day, of course, started with the decision from the jury. Can you explain how he was found guilty on two of the lesser charges, still federal charges, though, and not the other three?
Yeah, hey, Blake, great to be with you. Yeah, I was a little bit surprised on the jury's verdict. I thought the jury would find Sean Combs guilty of at least one of the sex trafficking charges associated with his ex, Cassie Ventura. I thought her testimony was compelling, and she exhibited that force and coercion that P. Diddy did to her. And also there were some supporting witnesses, right? Some people that worked for Combs and even the male prostitute who saw Cassie, beaten and, unconscious. Right. So I was a little bit surprised with that one. I thought there should have been a conviction on the sex trafficking for Cassie. But look, on the RICO charges, which are the criminal enterprise charges, there's no chance that the prosecutors were going to get a guilty verdict on that, because they've got to prove a couple of things, Blake. First of all, they've got to show the jury co-conspirators. There were no other co-conspirators indicted. That's the whole premise for criminal enterprise. Remember that case against former President Trump in Georgia with the election interference case? There were 16 co-defendants in that case for racketeering. That's typically what you need. You also need an agreement and a conspiracy. There wasn't really any evidence that Combs entered into any agreements with anybody to carry out a criminal enterprise. So I was not surprised by that.
All right, and then 2,400 miles away, another case, Brian Kohberger today, admitting to killing the 4 Idaho college students and in November of 2022. He is the attorney for the family victim spoke afterwards. I want to get your reaction on the other side.
962 days ago, we lost our Maddie, our kind, loving, vivacious, and caring daughter full of purpose and promise. We are grateful for the gift of her life, and we have grieved the loss of that life during each of these 962 days. We love you, Maddie, and we miss you.
The families were not happy, Brian, as you know, that the prosecutors decided to go with this plea deal and accept it. Explain why they are able to and why they did it in this case.
Well, look, the prosecutors, it's up to their own discretion. They have a moral obligation, Blake, to talk to the victims' families, right, to get their input on whether the death penalty should be sought in this case. But they're not legally obligated to use that information from the families of the victims in making their decision. But I'll be frank with you. I'm disappointed, not only as a lawyer, but I'm a single father of a 19-year-old who's a freshman in college, and I can relate to what these family members are going through. And look, at the end of the day, I personally feel like this was a cowardly decision by the prosecutors. Why? Because they have a pretty seal-proof case with the physical forensic evidence that puts Kohberger right there at the scene of the crime committing these murders. So if you know as a prosecutor going into a trial that you're pretty sure you're going to get a guilty verdict, why wouldn't you take this guy to the mat and then seek the death penalty? Because I look at it from a deterrent standpoint. Where's the deterrence in this if you're just letting this guy, hey, I did it, go hang out in jail and get your free meals and work out at the gym for the rest of your life? I would be traumatized if I was a father of any of those victims.
Brian Claypool with us tonight on these two big cases, Boise, and we continue to watch for the attorneys there in New York. Brian, thank you.
You bet. Thanks, Blake.